Herd mentalists, hear me. I'd like to really thank everybody who's supported the show and signed up for the tithing. That's at herdmentalitypodcast.com on the support tab. It really means a lot to me. It's allowed me to see a future in doing this, in providing this service to the community. So a couple of the benefits have been that I've been able to now draw almost $1.50 out of it, but I've donated over $100 to kiva.org to help women in developing countries lift their education. And that's been wonderful. So thank you all very much. And I think I'm almost at about 70 tithers of my 200 goal. And at 200, I'll actually earn money for doing this. It'll pay for my time in the editing room. And that's where we're headed. So thank you all. Secondly, I'd like to give a plug to secular.fm. This little project that Tanner from the No Godcast has been working very, very hard on. Like, really hard. I don't think anyone has any idea. It's phenomenal what he's done. He's managed to produce a 24-hour radio streaming network. My show's on there. There's a whole bunch of other shows on there that you've probably heard of. And if you haven't heard of them yet, go there now. Secular.fm. You'll be able to listen to Cognitive Dissonance, C-Web Sunday School. You'll be able to hear Jake from the Imaginary Friends show, Bill and Susie from the Barroom Atheists, the No Godcast. You'll even hear me if you're really unfortunate. It's in beta at the moment, but it's going to be big, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. The last thing I'd like to apologise for, perhaps, is that I now have 85 people on my desk who are waiting to come on the show. There's a lot of people, and in order to get to everybody, I either need to be doing this full-time or neglect some people. And I have neglected some people. It's a case of send me through your application through the website, and I'll get to you when I can. Or I might send you a message on Twitter and say, hey, would you like to come on the show? Time is an issue. Just trying to get everybody on it is really, really hard. So if I have asked you if you'd like to come on the show, or if I have hinted that you'd be welcome on the show, that's true. Everyone's welcome on the show. I'd like to get to everyone. I think everyone has something important to say. But my schedule has been difficult to predict of late, so it's currently almost midnight as I'm recording this, just trying to get it done before I get up at 6 and go to work in the morning. Don't feel like you've been left out. Don't take it personally. Don't feel like I've looked at what you've sent to me and disregarded it, because I haven't. I've printed them all out. They're all on my desk. It's a case of I have to get to them when I'm ready. So I thank you very much for your patience. I thank everybody for your support. Now let's go and have a chat with a complete stranger. Welcome to The Herd Mentality, an eclectic weekly mix of atheistic and humanistic conversations with complete strangers. I've never met them and they've never met me, but we're throwing caution to the wind, taking a risk with a dodgy internet connection, and God willing, get an interesting conversation for you to listen to. I'm your host, Questionable Adam, at Adam Reeks on Twitter, and it's time to meet our guests. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Herd Mentality. With me today, I have a gentleman who goes also by the name of Adam, and his Twitter handle is at YGOBand. Hello, Adam.
Hello.
Feels like I'm speaking to myself.
Me too. I try not to talk to myself out loud.
At times it's the only way to get a reasonable answer.
This is true.
And what's your Twitter handle? Elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, so it's at YGOBand. That's a Y, uppercase Y, lowercase g, uppercase O, lowercase band. So that's my virtual band, and that YGO stands for Your God's Orgasm. Oof. And yeah, it's kind of funny. And, if somebody asks me what it is and I need to say something more politically correct, I could say it's your guess only.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Outstanding. So what's a virtual band?
So a virtual band is something like one of the earliest examples would be like the Chipmunks or something like that, where it's or Josie and the Pussycats or something like that. It's kind of like a cartoon band or animated band where they they portray it as these characters making the music. And there's a couple like current examples would be like Gorillaz, or there's some band called Death Clock. That's a kind of a metal band. I think they have a animated TV show.
Mm-hmm. What sort of music are we listening to here?
Well, it's kind of a mix of things. I'd say most of my influences are in the metal realm, but lots of punk influence and rock, classic rock influence, blues even. So I try to keep it pretty open as far as what I'll include in there, even some horns or whatever occasionally. And I don't set any restrictions on myself, but grew up playing guitar, and so, almost always going to be a guitar in there. I can promise that.
And you do all the different instruments yourself?
Yeah, to one degree or another, and just been doing everything myself. I will occasionally collaborate on one of the songs that I've done so far. I collaborated with some young family members of mine, and happy to collaborate with some other musicians out there.
Yeah, right. And who does the animation and the visuals?
Yeah, well, I haven't done any animation just yet, but I came up with the characters for the band myself and did the artwork for those myself at this point. And I did those using like Photoshop, and so they're kind of realistic looking. And I took different pictures, some that I took myself, some that were like stock photographs and stuff, and just doctored them a whole lot. And that includes the tour rig that we have. It's a hearse pulling a Airstream trailer.
Right, outstanding. And the sort of music that you're playing is sort of angled towards atheists, or are you going for a wider market here?
Yeah, I went for a wide market. I mean, it definitely would appeal to atheists, but ultimately, I'd like to get a lot of people that fall into that nuns category that where maybe like I used to be, in that they reject religion, but then they haven't really been taught, critical thinking, or they lost that interest in science, or, lost that childhood curiosity that we all had when we were younger, and that's something that I, kind of regained through an episode that I had, and that's kind of what inspired this whole thing.
Cool. So critical thinking is pretty much the basis for it. I have a whole podcast based around it. That and
right.
And at least one or two terrible jokes. Oh, well, sorry, I didn't ask you where you're based.
I'm in Corpus Christi, Texas, or just outside of there. So it's kind of this wasn't really planned. It's just something I thought about after the fact. But it's kind of appropriate because Corpus Christi means the body of Christ. So where else would your God's orgasm come from but the body of Christ?
Well, it's the focal point, the epicenter, if you will.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and how many songs have you got out so far?
Just 4 right now, and I'm working on a couple more in the hopper, and they should be any stuff I put out in the future should come along a little bit quicker. Those first 4 were they took a long time to get done because I had to kind of learn the whole recording and mixing process and all that stuff. It was a little more involved than I thought. So.
Yes, well, I can speak firsthand about learning how to edit stuff sort of on the fly. It's never easy. You do get a little faster at it. I think there's a market for atheist music.
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's a growing market,
I was speaking to somebody on Twitter the other day, and he said he really enjoys a lot of Christian music, as do I. We have a digital radio station in Sydney, and very occasionally when I change the radio station, I'll come across it, and I'll hear this really catchy sort of soft pop rock song. I think, hey, that's really cool. And then, they'll bang on about how wonderful life is, and then all of a sudden there's a reference in there to Jesus, and I go, it's still cool, though. It's still cool.
Right. Yeah, well, it's like when I was a kid, and I used to listen to Slayer, and I thought, man, if it weren't for all that satanic stuff, this sounds awesome,
Yeah.
But then as I grew older, I realized, wow, that's just like kind of a mockery. It's just for shock value. Mm-hmm. And what I found lacking, I mean, I love music and have a lot of influences, but there's not much out there in the way of like critical thinking and skepticism and stuff like that in lyrics, So there's definitely a lot of, especially in the genres that I mostly play in, the metal and rock, punk stuff. It's like there's definitely that anti-establishment and anti-religion and maybe some, not non-belief stuff in there. But
do you think we'll ever have a Dave Matthews Band sort of success story in the atheist arena?
Maybe when the population of the atheists grow, when the nuns grow and become more educated, I think there's definitely room for that. Yeah. I mean, look at the some of these pop artists from the believer side of things, Christian pop artists and stuff.
When did you go from being one of those nuns to being a something, in effect, and being a critical thinker? When did you flick the switch?
Yeah, well, it was not a switch I probably would have ever flipped had I not flipped out myself. I was actually an adult before I really came into this stuff. When I was a kid, I was like, just kind of considered myself agnostic. I don't know, maybe for a real short time as a young kid, I might have been a deist, but even then, I don't think I necessarily believed it. I just kind of grew up non-religious and managed to graduate from college and accomplish all these things without worshiping anything. And then I, at a point in my life when I had some people in my life that were religious, and of course had crossed some paths with some that were, pretty religious and fundamentalist and that kind of thing, I was actually partaking in a little bit of smoking some pot one night, and not something I do on a regular basis, or ever did, really. I mean, I probably would smoke less than most kids. It would be, just occasionally if somebody offered me every few months or something, I might do a little bit. But I did want this one particular night. I don't know, felt like I had kind of like some kind of out of body experience or something, or I don't know. It was strange, I felt like I was like remembering being born or something, or it was really weird. And then I felt like I guess my heart must have been beating real fast, and I felt like I was going to have a heart attack or something, so I laid on the floor. I thought I was going to die or something. Eventually, I relaxed and I was all right. And I think maybe, not real sure about this, but right around that same time, I discovered I had some mild sleep apnea. So maybe there might have been something going on with that where my brain was a little bit different than typical. I couldn't fall asleep that night, which had to do with the sleep apnea thing. I was like, laying in bed, and it felt like I really like to lay on my back to go to sleep. And when I was doing that, every time I'd start to fall asleep, I'd like wake up like as if I was going to die. And it was because I wasn't breathing. I'd breathe in and then I'd not breathe out. So like I started becoming obsessed with this whole incident that I had, and started losing more and more sleep. And I started writing down these symbols and stuff, like these simple symbols that would somehow show like how the universe began, or all this weird stuff. And started reading all this stuff on the internet, and just one thing led to another. I wasn't really sleeping at all. I'd like, as soon as I'd try and fall asleep, I'd wake up. And so I just started spiraling out of control. Had I had critical thinking skills, I would have known, hey, you got something wrong here. You need to get some sleep. But I thought, well, maybe there's something special about me, maybe, and I need to share this with the world. And that's why I don't have to sleep. I started reading all this stuff on the internet, and there was some weird things going on around that time too, like, the high terrorist threats on the TV. And then time went on. I kept getting more and more obsessed with this, like, something special has happened to me, or like I need to share this knowledge that I have now. But I couldn't really put my finger on it, and I didn't have the critical thinking skills to like kind of figure out what was going on.
So what changed?
Yeah, well, it got to the point where like, I just couldn't even really function much anymore. I was like really on a roller coaster of emotions, where I could like talk about something and start crying, or be laughing, or I'd be really excited and happy. And I went to work one day too, and I thought like that there was these terrorists coming to get me. And so I went out. This is when I had this office job, and I left the building. I almost pulled the fire alarm. This is a huge building, right? I almost pulled the fire alarm on the way out to alert everybody, After that, and after some other things, I went to the emergency room. They asked me when I was there, what's your religion? And I said, science, Lady said, Scientology? No, science, So, and so I had this feeling like, I and I wasn't ready to go to religion, but I felt like science has the answers, and maybe science will explain God someday, And
Science already has. Have you not met Deepak Chopra?
Right. Yeah. I'm familiar with his work, if you want to call it that. Not too familiar, but I know of the gentleman. Yes. And this is where you insert the Deepak.
No.
Anyway.
Go do it this way. I don't have to edit it in. Let's hear it.
Okay. So, so I got out of the emergency.
No. I need you to sing it.
Deepak Chopra, masters of the universe.
That's not
it's Deepak Comfort.
Right?
Deepak
Comfort.
Yeah, so I made it out of the emergency room, and then I was like, you know what, I have to call the news, So I called the news, and fortunately they knew I was crazy. They didn't do anything with me. Mm-hmm. And then I also decided I was going to go to the radio station. There was I lived in a big metro area at the time, and I went to the radio station where there was a guy I used to go to high school with that was on this popular morning show. There's something else I left out. There must have been probably close to 2 weeks where I did not sleep. Over the course of this time, too, I thought, there's some other people that know about what I know about, and it's hidden in music lyrics, So I started looking at all these CDs and stuff and all this music that I was into and looking at these lyrics. So I grabbed a bunch of them that I thought I could bring with me. And so I go to this radio station and I show up there. By the time I showed up there, I was out front there, and I saw this UPS lady passing by me, and I said hi, and she just kind of ignored me. And by this time, I'm really getting nuts, I was thinking to myself, she doesn't even know I'm the second coming of Christ, she doesn't even know. How could this be, how am I going to convince anybody? So I go in there and I try to get on the show, and they got that guy to come down that I knew from high school. He came down, and I had this stack of CDs in my hand, and got my Pantera CDs and all this stuff, I'm like, hey, man, it's all in these CDs, so I don't remember exactly what I said, but I was like, you got to let me on the air so I can tell everybody, Huh. Fortunately, he realized I was crazy as well and dismissed me. Eventually, my significant other got my family involved and was like, I'm worried about Adam. There's something going on with him, and we hadn't been seeing each other too long at the time. So initially, she just thought it was, I guess, me going through a creative phase or something, Yeah, so the family got involved, and they said, we're going to have to, put you into a mental health facility, but you need to voluntarily do it. If we do it for you, then it looks bad on your record. If we do what's called a Baker Act on you, that's where they force you to go into a mental health facility because they're worried about you hurting yourself or somebody else. Then it looks bad on your record. So I was like, all right, and I'll check in. So so I got checked in for 3 days at a mental health facility. I went from this guy that was agnostic, just dismissed religion, accepted evolution, but I didn't know much about either. Really, I was pretty ignorant, but I ended up in this place, and actually, a lot of the people that were in there were dealing with issues related to religion. Yeah, so at first I wasn't taking the medications because I was kind of, I don't know, maybe I was in some kind of conspiracy thing or something. I was like, they're trying to keep me down or whatever, and I felt like I was in this place, and maybe it was a spaceship and it was going to take off, and or they're going to come get me before the world ends and stuff, Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was another thing too. I thought, not only would when I went to sleep would I die, but the whole world would end too, So anyway, I somehow turned a corner where I was like, this is horrible. There's this Asian guy that's a doctor there at the or a pharmacist, working at this place, and they're giving out the pills and stuff. And I see him back there. I'm like, oh, okay. So I thought, well, they're a pretty wise race. Maybe they've been on the earth longer than us. So I think I can trust him, So I decided to start taking my pills. So, and then I did. And then I think I started getting some sleep in there, and I started becoming a little better. But I tricked my way out of that place. I got out of there within 3 days, but I probably should have been in there for at least a week or two. Easy. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I tricked my way out of there. And then I got out, and I was still obsessing over the music lyrics and stuff like this. In fact, I ran across one that did mention Occam's razor. And I don't know if it was that or something else, but somehow I found my way onto Center for Inquiry, and then started listening to like the Point of Inquiry podcasts and stuff, And then, just kind of slowly started coming down ever since then,
How long ago was this?
2003, 2004, about 10 years ago, something like that. So ever since then, just been, in love with learning and knowledge and, like every subject, it's like it all fits together. Like when I was in high school, if I'd known that, biology and geology and astronomy, and it could all be like tied together so beautifully, I would have been much more interested in it. They happen to have actually a Center for Inquiry group, not too far from me. So I went over there one time, and they were doing the introductions. Everybody stand up, say their name, and whatever. And some of the people in there, they said their name and said, yeah, I'm also a member of Florida Atheists, and so I lived in Florida at the time. And I thought, atheists? What's up with the atheists, I
They're out to get me too.
No, yeah. By this time, I was, I'd kind of come down.
Good.
And I guess somebody must have explained to me at some point that an atheist was just somebody that just said there absolutely was no God. Not realizing that I was one myself all this time. So I eventually learned that, and I was impressed with all the people that were there. There was all these doctors and professors and. These people were really intelligent, I remember asking the question when I was there. They go to lunch afterwards. I remember asking the question. I was like, if evolution is I know, is in science is much stronger than, with the way people throw around the word theory. But, why don't we call it a law instead of a theory, And so the science professor that was there at the time, he said, he recommended I read the Carl Sagan Demon Haunted World book, so I read that and started reading about critical thinking, picked up a college-level book on that and took it from there, been getting mentally healthier ever since.
I think you're doing a great thing.
Well, thanks.
It's not easy. I can imagine it's not easy to go from sort of a sleep deprivation paranoia and willingly turn it around and start, because at that stage, it becomes very difficult to distinguish what is true and what is not. So critical thinking has improved your life.
Oh, yeah, immensely. I used to say the best thing I ever did for myself was starting to eat healthy and work out and stuff. But, now I say is like, discovering critical thinking. I mean, it's like it can work in the most trivial day-to-day ways, like from, keeping yourself from getting ripped off, buying something or... Yeah. From some online scam artists to like the most, deep questions in life. So
yeah, critical thinking saves you money. There you go, listeners.
Oh, yeah.
From the horse's mouth, and you won't go and spend as much on unnecessary Pantera CDs.
Right.
So where can we find your music?
I'm giving away 2 free songs right now. If you go to ygoband.info and just give me your email address and first name there. And I don't even have anything for sale just yet. So yeah, I'll give you 2 free songs, and that'll get you over to my website, and you can listen to the other songs there as well. So that'll do it. Yeah.
Support a fellow critical thinker, someone who's really managed to take the bull by the horns and turn his life around. I think that's an outstanding feat.
Well, thank you.
Rightio, Adam. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, and look forward to listening to some of your tunes for free.
Well, thank you. Thanks a lot again for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's a little quick snippet, a little chat with one of the 4 people who listen to the show. I've got the Atheist Spark on the line. Hello.
Hello.
And you're from the motherland.
Yes, England.
It's a place. I've been there. Can't get there by bus. Certainly not from here. So how are you going?
I'm kind of coping with life.
Kind of coping with life. Those who are on the Twitter thing, who follow you, what's your brief synopsis if you had to sort of surmise it?
Rather crazy, I guess. I'm all over the place.
Rightio. So I'll ask a couple of leading questions then, if that's the case. Your family's a Christian?
Yes.
You come from religious livestock?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of brought up to be a Christian. Sort of.
Okay. One of the things that perhaps stands out about your account is you're somebody who battles with mental health issues and depression.
Yeah.
And you've spoken up about it, which I admire.
Yeah, I definitely did that.
Why do you do that?
I think because it's one of those really misunderstood issues, and I think it benefits people, and obviously it benefits me as well, because I'm talking about it.
So how has it benefited you, speaking openly about it on Twitter?
You get to talk to all kinds of people, as other people that have had depression. There's people that kind of understand you. And I love the fact that you can start talking to someone who has little knowledge about it, and then you can help them to understand it.
And it's something that can be applied not just to depression, but a way of thinking.
Yeah.
So one of the things you mentioned to me previously was that you'd listened into the episode 18 of this show where we had a chat with Mr. Hawkes and Jake Farr-Wharton from the Far Superior Imaginary Friends show about depression, and you used it to make some changes to your life.
Yeah, I definitely did that. I was meant to go to the doctors anyway, and I remember tuning into that show, and I think I got my dad to listen to it as well. That kind of helped. I hope it kind of helped him and maybe my mum to understand it a bit better.
So they're obviously not sufferers of depression themselves, but there was some sort of stigma associated with it?
I think at some point they didn't actually understand what I was going through. Yeah.
And what was the outcome from that?
I'm not too sure, but I know that they're starting to understand it a bit better these days compared to before.
What's the outcome then? So what's the end game? You've now begun taking the antidepressants?
Yeah.
How's it affecting you?
I'm not sure if these ones are particularly working for me, but I guess I kind of went into it thinking, although I didn't really tell people too much, because it's kind of a private thing at the time, I kind of went into it looking like it was, you know how you think of it as a tool to help you get better? So it's kind of a bit more like that.
Okay, antidepressants often take several weeks to take an effect. What were the effects that you noticed?
I think I kind of got a bit more suicidal in a way, I think. But that could have just been because I was kind of suicidal before then. I think that's one of the big things I noticed. I mean, I think straight away I thought it was working when I first started it, and it kind of seemed to get a bit strange in there, but, you know, obviously I'm still here, so...
You are still here. We're thankful for it. All of the herd mentalists, all four of us, rally behind you. Well, let's talk briefly about the suicide thing, because this is, the best way to describe it is largely misunderstood.
Yeah.
Isn't it? What's some of the reasoning and thinking that plays on your mind?
And it's misunderstood. I think it's just like people just don't get that when they kind of like, they try and kind of guilt you sometimes. Like they'll say, think about your family and your friends, or think about me. And it's like, don't you think that we've already been thinking about it? You know, this is something that plays on our mind so much. We live and experience it. And obviously there's people that think you can snap out of it and all kinds of crazy things.
And those are the people who have never experienced it themselves.
Yeah, because I think if you experienced it, you wouldn't think that.
So what's the best way to deal with it? How can we change stigma, do you think? How can we change the way people perceive mental health issues?
I think the best way is to communicate with them. Obviously, if they're willing to listen, I think that's probably the best way.
Well, I think you've done an admirable thing. I think you're making a change within yourself. You've set a goal, and that is to get better. Is it not?
I'm not too sure. I mean, depression kind of makes it really shaky. I mean, obviously, I went straight into the jump because I went to the doctors that time because I actually did have a suicidal episode. So I realised how messed up I was at the time, like really hysterical.
Is it something you'd like to talk about or not?
I can talk about it. I mean, I think I made a whole blog about that time, a blog post about it at the time.
Would you like to summarise it for us?
I just remember being in the kitchen and I was just waving a knife about, but I actually really wanted a gun to put it to my head and to pull the trigger, just to kind of feel like that cold metal in your hand.
It would have been very frightening.
I don't know, it's just like you get really kind of calm and cool about it, and it becomes sort of this thing that you want, a fixation.
So it wasn't your rational mind making the decisions?
It's kind of hard to say, because you could call it irrational still. But it's like your mind just fixates on it, and it's one track. You want to die, or you want to have that gun in your hand. It's kind of becomes comfort in a way, I guess.
Where do you turn for assistance? Where do you go for help?
I think a lot of the time I try to deal with it myself, but other times I sort of like go to Twitter and I kind of talk about it on there.
And who's helped you?
Oh,
This is like an audio Follow Friday.
okay. I know Telford Atheist has been quite helpful with me. I know Brace the Coder, who's Philip, has recently also helped.
He's a gentleman, he's recently completed a science degree, I understand.
Yeah, I think so.
And he's also a fellow sufferer.
Yeah, so he kind of understands it. Yeah, nice.
It's a wonderful community, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Wonderful people.
All right. Is there anything you'd like to mention before we go?
I guess, like, stay awesome and rocket life if you can.
Rocket life. It's often the hardest advice to take yourself.
Yeah, but, you just take it, like, you just walk it.
Yeah.
Just take it as you can. Yeah.
Right. Well, you've got a cheerleading squad behind you, and we think you're doing a good thing. You've done an outstanding job in going to seek help and acknowledging that there is a problem and seeking a resolution. Give yourself some goals. Work towards them. Feel good about achieving them. I think you're doing a wonderful thing.
Cheers. This is one of them.
This is what coming on this third-rate podcast.
Yeah, it's coming on a podcast, and I thought yours was a good one to come on.
Oh, well, I'm blushing. Rightio, Deanna, at the Atheist Spark. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing a couple of your thoughts.
It's a pleasure.
Take care.
Thank you.
G'day, Raylene.
Yeah, right?
Okay, I've just driven the Bulletproof Comfort Mobile into living waters for the third day in a row, and the smell is just getting out of control.
Oh, Ray, this is really awkward. I don't know what to do with the body.
It's time to talk about the body.
Yeah, the body. I think I'm just going to have to ring someone to help me with this, because I can't do this on my own, right?
Well,
I know I'm intelligent, but fuck me. It's disposing of Joel Osteen. We need to, he's going to fucking shine no matter how deep we bury that motherfucker. We need some expert help.
Some expert help? So, who are you suggesting that we get in to assist with this?
Do you remember Dr. Frank Osteen, that very famous homeopath?
The homeologist?
Yeah, whatever, Ray. Anyway, I'm thinking of giving him a call.
Well, what's he possibly going to do? Is he any good with a shovel?
No, Ray. Well, if they brought that zombie Jew, Jesus, back, we can bring Osteen back.
With a shovel?
No, Ray. With the magic water.
Oh, the magic waters?
Yes.
We've got plenty of that at Living Waters.
No, Ray. This is special magic water. It's got memory.
Ah, the memory waters.
Yes. So
Right.
I think I should give Dr. Frank Osteen a call.
Rightio. Well, I'm just going to duck into the office. I'll leave you to it.
All right, Ray.
You rang? Sorry about that. Just had to get a lozenge. Can I help you?
Hi. Can I speak to Dr. Frank Osteen, please?
Frank Osteen speaking.
Hi, Dr. Frank Osteen. This is Raylene, Ray's assistant. We've got a bit of a situation. Dr. Frank Osteen, what happened was Joel had an accident with the 8 horsepower solid gold butt plug, and now the Bulletproof Comfort Mobile looks like a grenade's gone off in a meat counter. It's terrible. Absolutely bloody terrible. In the smell. Oh my days. We need to bring him back to life. Can you do that?
I think that if we can align his spirituality with special magic homeopathic waters, we should be able to bring him back. So Joel Osteen, what would you say was his main characteristic?
Oh, his fucking teeth. He was harnessing the bright luminescence from my asshole into some solar panels to harvest it to keep his teeth white. Definitely.
Yes, no. That's brilliant because homeopathy is like cures like. So with his bright teeth, we might be able to use that as a gateway to bring him back. Oh, I'm making some notes here, and yes. Well, Rayline, what we're going to need is the light of a full moon, your immaculately bleached anus. What we also need is 200 vials of magic water. I'll just collect them and I'll come right over.
Obviously, Dr. Frank Osteen, Ray's tighter than a badger's asshole. He's going to need to know how much this is going to cost. He's a right tight bastard. So, can you give me a quote?
Let's see. He's tight with money. Well, Ray Lane, I reckon the Ray Comfort Twitter handle would be excellent.
No, that's not going to happen. You have no idea what I went through to get that fucking Twitter handle back. I started a fucking war with Bolivia. So, no, you're going to have to quote me a price.
Oh, let's see. So carry the 1, divide by the number of souls in Bolivia, times by the golden constant. I think that would be the Comfort Mobile. I'm happy to deal with the smell.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll speak to Ray about it. You just leave it with me, Dr. Frank Osteen.
Okay, well, get back to me and when you're ready, I'll come over and we can resurrect him.
All righty then. Stay conscious. Ray?
Yes. You again? What do you want?
Right, Ray, I've spoken to Dr. Frank Osteen, who thinks he can, harness the bright luminescent light from the moon, combine it with my asshole, take it to the power of a quintillion, and bring Joel Osteen back. But it's going to cost you. He wants the Comfort Mobile as payment.
All right, well, that sounds entirely legitimate. Who am I to question such sound logic? But he wants the Comfort Mobile.
Yeah, he said he's not really bothered about the smell.
All right. So, in order to bring back somebody I don't like, I need to give away something that I do like.
Yeah, right. But, it's a small price to pay. The Comfort Mobile smells fucking awful. It's got Joel Osteen in the back. His asshole is blown to smithereens. I'm sure that I saw little bits of his leathering on your upholstery. So, just give him the Ray Comfort Mobile.
Every time, Raylene, every time we do one of these skits, you cock something up, and it comes at great personal expense to me.
Ray, if there's anything that's valuable in your life is me. You know that, Ray.
Well, no, I don't. So in order to get us out of this mess, I need to surrender the Comfort Mobile.
Yeah, Ray.
Send him a thought fax, get him over here, let's get the procedure underway.
Hello, Ray?
Oh, yes, g'day, that's me.
Dr. Frank Osteen, I told you about?
Oh, yes, the homo wizard, yes.
Homeologist?
Homeologist, sorry, my mistake, anyone could make it.
Yes.
All right, so apparently you're here to perform some sort of anti-satanic resurrection ritual.
No, not at all. This is pure science. What we will be doing is combating and trying to bring the spirit of Mr. Joel Osteen back through the heavily evidence-based homeopathology.
Right, but you're not going to use any of that evolution nonsense, are you?
No.
All right, you're hired, let's go. All right, here's what we're working with, guys.
Oh, look at the state of him.
It's in such a condition that it's almost indistinguishable from the upholstery.
Yes, but if you have a look, there is still life in those teeth. I can definitely work with this.
So they've got some sort of radioactive half-life?
Yes, it's the half-life of the soul, and Joel Osteen's teeth are the bed of his soul.
Right, so I'm with you, I'm
unless
following.
he has a Horcrux, and then that's completely different.
All right, I'm following you completely. I understand everything you're saying. Now, what is the next step?
No, you've got to let me work here. So what I need is Ray Leone to drop trowel.
So I'll just turn around.
I haven't seen underwear like that since I lived in Germany in the mid-'80s. Okay.
They could fit the back of a bus. How do we connect this to the light of the full moon that happens to be above us?
Ray, Lynn, move a little to your left, and then squat a little bit more, and I'll put this first vial here. My, that's just resplendent. You can see the glow of the full moon reflecting off that immaculately bleached anus of Ray Lynn.
Oh, so you're doing this in stereo?
Yes, Ray.
Right.
So
I'm with you.
now we have our starter. So this is purified. This is too strong. We can't use that. So I take one drop out of this.
Right.
And I put it in my next vial. And now I need to shake it, preferably on a leather Bible. No. That leather jockstrap you're wearing, Ray, will just do fine. So if you can bend over too.
Rightio. Hang on.
I'll just tap it 10 times.
Just a moment. There we go.
1, 2.
Come in.
Excellent. So that's it. That's the 1 in 10. Now I've just got to do this 199 times. So just bear with me here.
Rightio.
Yes. So that is the 200th dilution. Now what we do is we take a drop, because this medication is very strong, very, very powerful. It cannot touch human hands, and I just drop one drop onto these still glowing teeth.
Wow. Oh, well, that was just amazing.
I'm blown away.
Yes. Well, can you put your pants on before you do that? Because, to be honest with you, the smell is not coming from the car anymore.
I'm sorry. I have been told that it's like a blind man in a fish market. It's not pleasant.
Now, how long are we intending to wait for this resurrection to occur? Do we have to put some sort of boulder in front of it so he can push his way out? Is it like some sort of rebirthing sequence?
Oh, Ray, just look. Look, you can see the teeth twitch. You can see the life coming out of them. They're alive.
Oh, it's alive?
Well, the teeth are. I don't know about the rest of them, but let's just wait and see.
The twitching teeth. They're alive? G'day, Raylene.
Sorry. Hi,
Ray. There's nothing funny about that. Nothing at all. Right, from the top. From the top.
The tampon makes it.
Oh, well, that's unnecessary. And it's nothing at all like that. Not that I'd be familiar with any of that. That's awkward. I can't put that to air. I can't put that to air.
So what is it again? I'm so drunk still. What? It doesn't help that I'm having another vodka.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get this out of the way. The 8 horsepower solid gold butt plug.
See, even you forget, and it's your butt plug.
It's not mine. My hands are clean. I'm not putting that to air.
Why not?
I can't.
You can talk. Hang on a minute. I'm sorry. You have some fucking blurred lines when it comes to morality. So my asshole is fair game, but the tampon is not. Hello. This is Deepak. Sending a cosmic fact to Dr. Frankenstein.
I need to...
Have you not been listening, Ray? He gets your name wrong every time.